When it comes to the toe touch, I think a lot of us believe that it's only looking at hamstring flexibility. Well, although it definitely does look at hamstring flexibility, it's actually a really good way to better understand if your patient or client can actually change their shape. What I mean is that for someone to move pain-free and for someone to perform well, they need to be able to change the shape of their pelvis, the shape of their rib cage, and they need to be able to do it at appropriate times. Now, when it comes to the toe touch, I think a lot of us stop short. What I mean is that when we go down to test a toe touch, we have someone go down, touch their toes. We may have them exhale as they go down, and then we take that measurement, or then we see what they achieve, and then we move on. The problem with this is that we are neglecting the normal respiration patterns that happen during a toe touch, but really during normal mechanics of the human body. So in this video, I want to go over a specific sequence of breathing that can really help you improve your patient's or client's toe touch, but also have that carry over to their functional mobility, to their performance mobility, so you can help them and continue to get them moving pain-free and achieving their goals. Before we look at any anatomy or pelvis or rib cage, let's try to simplify it. In its most simplest form, the toe touch can be broken down into two categories and essentially two goals that we are looking to achieve. We need to achieve compression and expansion. And to understand that, we can use a water bottle. If this is the front side of the body and this is the back, when we move into a toe touch, we need to compress the anterior side and expand the posterior side. So again, if we just look at its simplest form, if a patient or client cannot do that, they probably won't touch their toes. What you can do is start to look at the water in here, acting as the fluid. As we go and compress that front side, the fluid or the muscles have to expand on the back side. And this is really no different as it relates to the human body spine and the posterior pelvis. So now take those two exact concepts and let's look at how it goes with the human body. For the human body to achieve space and power, it needs to go through certain motions. And at the pelvis and the sacrum, it goes as follows. First, we need to create space and go through counter nutation, which is going to externally rotate and open up the pelvis. Then we need to be able to move the sacrum into nutation, which is also coupled with internal rotation. And then we go back to external rotation coupled with sacral counter nutation. Now, because the toe touch doesn't go through full hip flexion, we see this ER, IR motion and back to the ER, but it's really heavy and predominant in the IR space. So this is really an IR-driven motion. So now let's look how we can influence compression or expansion. The first phase, external rotation, is at the very top. This is when we're in a compressed position at this posterior pelvis, which counter-nutates the sacrum and expands the front side. The next step is internal rotation or sacral nutation. And again, this is where we're really focusing on for this specific exercise. To better understand nutation and why it creates space posteriorly is that when the sacrum nutates, it actually needs to be able to move into this direction. Well, what's right here that's not here in this video? Muscles. So we need to be able to have muscles such as the glutes and the piriformis allow the motion to occur. That is the space component. So when someone is performing a toe touch, they need to be able to expand back here and create space. So automatically, if someone cannot expand here, they are probably not going to touch their toes. And then at the very end of motion and at the very end of the toe touch, we need to recapture that compression and that external rotation of the pelvis. So now we understand how that works with the pelvis. We can then take it one step further because breathing is also going to correlate with those motions. As we go into external rotation, that's synonymous with inhalation. Internal rotation, exhalation, and then back to inhalation. So we can get very specific with our toe touch. And here's what a lot of people do. They respect that to get that internal rotation, we need to exhale. but that's usually where we stop. For example, as we go and coach someone through a toe touch, they go down, touch their toes, and we usually say, exhale as you're going down. That's great, but we need to take it one step further. And to recognize why we need to take it one step further, we're just going to go back to our compression and expansion principles. So next time you're coaching or assessing a toe touch, have the patient or client exhale as they go through their descent. And then once they get to that about that mid shin level, we're going to have them inhale. The inhalation is going to help in two ways. First, it's going to help to expand the back side of the thorax. When we're at that mid-range of a toe touch, we're getting a ton of compression at the anterior abdomen. That compression is going to automatically draw and move that expansion, aka air, towards that backside. So it's really going to help to open that person up posteriorly at the thorax. The second thing it's going to do is help to recapture that end range external rotation that we need. That is going to really help them get down and touch their toes when they're performing their toe touch. So the big takeaway here is integrating the breathing into our toe touch, but taking it one step further. Not just exhaling and then being done, but exhaling, and once they get to about the mid-shin level, we're then cueing the inhale. We're doing this based off the properties of normal mechanics, such as the ER, IR, ER, like we talked about, but also to really help to expand that posterior thorax so we can get more compression at that anterior side and more expansion at the posterior side.